Hello, hello, and welcome to the weekly energy update for the week of June 22nd, 2025. I'm Renee Spears, a spirit guide channeler and spiritual mentor, and I'm coming to you from cold and beautiful Bozeman, Montana. Every Sunday, I share the energy for the week ahead, and I also infuse the show with some positive vibes, so you get a little positive energy boost just for listening. So we're about halfway through the year, and I thought this would be a good time to do a little review of where we are now and where we're headed. And let's start with numerology. 2025 is a 9 universal year, which is the end of a 9-year cycle. And it's all about endings and beginnings and change in all areas of our life. One chapter is closing to make space for the next. And while that sounds exciting, change can be uncomfortable. And it takes courage and patience and trust, especially when you feel ready to move forward, but the next chapter hasn't started yet. And that's the energy of a 9-year. We're standing between what was and what's coming next. There's also a deep spiritual undertone this year. All this change has us thinking about what truly matters, and that deepens our spirituality. The number 9 also carries a humanitarian energy, and we're shifting our focus from everything being all about us and our personal interest to the well-being of others and the greater good, the collective good. So overall, a 9-year is the end of a cycle, bringing change, endings, emotional and spiritual growth, and shifting our focus to what's best for the collective and not just ourselves. This is also the year of the wood snake. This year is associated with intuition, adaptability, and transformation. It's also a time of personal and spiritual growth. So in Chinese tradition, the snake symbolizes renewal and transformation. And just as a snake sheds its skin, we are shedding our skin and releasing the past so we can grow. And this aligns beautifully with the numerology of the year, which is all about change, release, and inner growth. And now we come to the astrology. This year is one of the most active and transformative we've had in decades, and it's shifting the collective energy in massive ways. And it really all started last November when Pluto moved into Aquarius. This is a huge deal, and it kicked off a whole new era of revolution and innovation and collective empowerment. We're moving away from those old school top-down power structures and shifting into something much more inclusive and collaborative. Pluto in Aquarius asks us to be unapologetically authentic. It's about building a future that reflects who we really are and what we truly value. The last time Pluto was in Aquarius was back in the late 1700s. Think the French and American revolutions. So this energy is no joke. It's shaking things up to help us create something fairer and better. Also, Neptune and Saturn both moved into Aries, and they haven't been there together in Aries since the 1800s. So having them both enter Aries, which is a fire sign and the first sign of the zodiac, in the same year marks a huge energetic reset. We're blending vision, thank you Neptune, with reality, thank you Saturn. A 9-year is about completion, and Saturn and Neptune in Aries marks the very beginning of a new long-term cycle. We're letting go of outdated identities, roles, dreams, and structures. This is kind of like the birth canal phase of collective and personal evolution. The Lunar Nodes, also known as the Nodes of Fate, shifted this year too, moving from the Aries-Libra axis to the Pisces-Virgo axis in January. So when the lunar nodes shift, it's seen as a collective karmic turning point, changing the evolutionary direction of humanity. So we're talking big stuff here. I'm sure you're getting the idea. The North Node moved into Pisces, and it's all about spirituality, finding peace in being rather than doing, and awakening to the idea that we're all one. The South Node is in Virgo, which is about what we're releasing, and that's perfectionism, focusing on productivity and control. So we're moving from fixing to flowing, from routine to ritual. We're moving from mindless busyness to living intentionally. And the next big one, and the last of the shifts this year, happens in a couple of weeks on July 7th when Uranus moves into Gemini. So the astrologer Teresa Tran talks a lot about this transit in the Summer Astrology Forecast podcast, so be sure to listen to that. The last time Uranus was in Gemini was in the 1940s, and back then we saw revolutionary changes in communication and aviation and technology. So this upcoming transit is expected to radically shift how we think, how we communicate, how we travel, and how we connect. So when we put all these energies together, we start to see a pattern: transformation, completion, deep inner work, spiritual growth, a letting go of what was to make space for what's next. We're at the end of a major cycle, and we're laying the foundation for a whole new era, not just personally, but globally. And we can feel the enormity of this. And whether you're feeling this as grief, resistance, excitement, or inspiration, it's all part of the process. So be kind to yourself. This is a big deal. And change is messy, but it's also magical. So this week is our chance to take a breather from all the change. On Wednesday, the 25th, is a new moon in Cancer, and this is one of the best new moons of the year for a couple different reasons. The big one is that Jupiter just moved into Cancer, so we have the sun, the moon, and Jupiter all in Cancer. And if this wasn't enough positive energy, there's also a Jupiter cazimi. This is a lot of Cancer energy. The moon is also the ruler of Cancer. She loves being there, and this supercharges the energy even more. Cancer is the sign of nurturing, emotions, and home. So yes, our physical home, but also our home frequency. This is our unique vibration, our frequency, our resting frequency. And this is where we feel the happiest and at peace. So when we feel anxiety or fear or overwhelmed, it's because we're not vibrating at our home frequency. Our energy is out of alignment. We're out of alignment. This new moon in Cancer is our opportunity to get back into alignment. The feeling of safety and security and inner peace comes from being in alignment with our home frequency. So the new moon is on Wednesday, and less than 24 hours before that, we have a Jupiter cazimi. And because Jupiter is the most abundant planet, when there's a Jupiter cazimi in Cancer, it's called the Day of Miracles. So the energy of the Jupiter cazimi, the Day of Miracles, and the new moon in Cancer are some of the best we'll experience this year. It's a powerful time for setting intentions, especially for the rest of the year. So spend some time visualizing and writing down your intentions for your dream reality. Like, give yourself permission to dream big. It's also an excellent time for making a new vision board. So this new moon in Cancer is more than a fresh start. It's a reset point in the middle of a year of massive transformation. The rest of 2025 and the beginning of 2026 will see the crumbling of the old world, the old us, in favor of a brand new future. This moon is for resetting and getting back to our home frequency before continuing on. So allow yourself to feel good this week, even with all the unrest and the bombing going on. Take advantage of this time to reset and get back in alignment before we move forward. So as you may know, I just follow my intuition when it comes to business. I've tried planning more to be a good business owner, but that's just not how it works for me. My plan was to start a new wisdom circle in the fall, but my guides have a different idea. So it's time for me to dive into the books of the life and teaching of the masters of the Far East. These books have been the most instrumental thing in my spiritual journey. I first read them when I was 18, and then every decade since then, they've come back around again in my life. And each time I read them, I learn and understand more and more. So I'm now at the point in my spiritual journey where my thinking is expanding. My idea of what's possible is expanding, and it all stems from these books. So I'm spending the summer thinking bigger, and if this is something you'd like to practice with me, I'd love you to join my Summer Women's Wisdom Circle that starts on July 2nd. Yes, it's summer, people are busy, and this will probably be a small circle, but I trust that the right people will join me for this. And because it's summer, I've reduced the price to $250 if you register by the 29th. So if you're feeling guided to join me, you can learn more and register at the link in bio or go to my website, Abundology.com. Also, I promise registration for Spiritual Summer School will start this week. My intention was to get it up last week, but my mom is visiting and it seemed much more important and fun to spend time with her instead. But I promise summer school details and registration will be up this week and it starts on July 8th. So it's stormy and cold here today. I'm going to spend the day inside playing games and watching movies with my family. So enjoy the energy of this wonderful week while it's here. I want to thank you, as always, for listening and sharing the podcast with your friends, and I'll talk to you again next week.